Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Akash Dasgupta. Now, a long test season is ahead for Team India. Of course, the next one around the corner is going to be a 3-test series against the Kiwis at home. And to talk about that and a little bit more, we have with us three very special guests on the show. First up, one of the World Cup winners for India as captain and arguably one of the biggest legends of Indian cricket, Mr. Kapil Dev. One of the best batsmen that India has ever produced, someone who's been part of many memorable India wins, VVS Laxman. And arguably one of the best fast bowlers that the game has ever seen, someone we love to have here in India, even though he has tormented many an Indian batsman in his playing days, the one and only Brett Lee. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure having you all here together. Kapil Bhaji, if I could quickly begin with you. India versus New Zealand test series coming up. India ranked number 2 in the rankings, the Kiwis ranked number 7, but still you can't really say that this is going to be a one-sided contest.
I think the cricket have changed. Ranking sometime it's good on paper, but any team can beat anybody. It's not gone. Those were the days when 80s dominated by West Indies, and then later on Australia dominated, winning 15, 20 matches in a row. I think now any team can beat anybody. Yes, for New Zealand, little tough coming to India, winning in these conditions. It's not easy, it's tough. But now all the international cricketer knows the condition because they played so much cricket around the world. That's the one big advantage New Zealand had. Previously, I think they never used to come out and play any domestic cricket or any other form of cricket in India. Now they know the condition.
VVS, long test series and a long test season ahead for Team India. In that context, how important is this series going to be? Because it will pretty much set the tone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think it's very important to start off well. And I think India is going to play against 3 quality teams: New Zealand, then England, and Australia. I think Indian team will definitely start as favourites. But once you're playing at international level, as an individual player or as a team, you never ever take anyone for granted. And best teams don't think about the opposition. Best teams always think about improving or bettering their own performance. And they try to create their own targets and achieve those targets. And that's exactly what this team led by Virat Kohli will be looking. Also, what they will be looking is to play aggressive cricket, look to play positive cricket, look to make sure that they're always looking to play for a win. And I think Virat Kohli is in a very enviable position where he's got a very balanced looking side, batting department, fast bowling department and spin department. So it's going to be really challenging task for the New Zealanders, but you cannot take them for granted. And I think a lot will also depend on how Kane Williamson will play in this series, because he's got the temperament, he's got the technique, and he's got the patience to do well on turning tracks. And if he has a good series, then the other New Zealander batsmen can come play and play the natural free-flowing game, and he can anchor the innings.
I'm very glad, VVS, that you brought up the composition of the current Indian team, because that was actually going to be my next question to Brett. Gary Kirsten recently in an interview to NDTV told us that there's absolutely no reason why this current Indian team can't consistently be the best team in the world when it comes to test cricket. How do you see this current lot of cricketers that India has vis-a-vis teams like, say, Australia, South Africa and England?
I do agree with that, and you mentioned before that they're sitting at number 2. Now, if they go and obviously win this test series, they got the opportunity to go to number 1, so that in itself is another reason to go out there and perform at the best. But I do believe India have got a very well balanced team. They've got batsmen that can bat in the top 6, some all-rounders, and some great spin and some pace options too. So I'm looking forward to this series. It's going to be unreal. Starts on the 22nd of September, so yeah, there's a lot in line. That's 100% for sure.
Right. Paji, VVS, of course, mentioned Virat Kohli and his aggressive brand of cricket. How do you rate his evolution as both a cricketer and a leader?
I think let's see, because the cricket is changing. In the last 15, 20 years, cricket changed so much. The mindset of the young cricketer or the cricketer who are coming are different. Now all of them are very aggressive, because T20 and one-day cricket doesn't give you any leverage. You're not being aggressive. So I think Virat Kohli is a new captain with that thought process. We have to be very aggressive. Aggression wasn't a part of Indian team way in 80s, but I think when I look back, when I see today's team, I say, God, man, these boys have changed a lot. And well done. Why not? Because need of the hour is you have to be aggressive and hard. And Virat Kohli is one. And we can feel more Virat Kohli is aggressive because we've seen Dhoni previously, who dominated almost 7, 8, 10 years. He was a different mindset, not much to say, but he was a different kind of performance he used to give. And Virat Kohli, you can see on his face, whatever you see, you get that.
Yeah. VVS, picking up again from where Paji left off, the aggression will be a key factor, no doubt. But then another factor which will be a huge key element is, of course, the spin factor when you play here in India. However, we must not forget that the Kiwis have a couple of spinners who have very recently really troubled Indian batsmen. In that context, how do you see this particular encounter playing out?
I've always maintained that Indian batsmen have got the skill to play the turning ball. Yes, some of the results didn't go their way on turning wickets, and also that Santner and Sodhi, I think, are very, very good spin bowlers. They are inexperienced, but they are very skillful, and we saw that in the T20 World Cup. But it will be a challenge for them because bowling 4 overs, bowling 10 overs in a one-day match or a T20 match is a different kind of challenge. Whereas bowling for a long periods of time against quality players, especially when the partnership is happening or someone is dominating, their temperament and patience will be tested. Can they have that kind of accuracy? Can they have that kind of control which they showed during the World Cup? They definitely have got the skill. And I think they will be tested without a doubt, and it's a great learning experience for them. But I believe that the Indian batsmen can counter them and can play to their potential. Then they can put a lot of pressure on these young spinners.
All right, let me take that same question to Brett. Brett, as the un-Indian on this panel,
Half Indian.
half Indian. Okay, as the half Indian on this panel, is that something that touring teams really think of? Is that playing on their minds, that spin factor, whenever they come to India?
Of course, and that's happened throughout everyone's test career that's had the opportunity to come to India. We know that when we come to India, it's going to turn, the conditions will be hot, we're not used to playing in the humidity and getting out there. It's 5 days of cricket and it tests everything. So we know the ball's going to turn. That is a great challenge within itself, but it's a challenge where we as athletes coming over, if we can win in India on home soil, that to me is more important than winning 20 games in Australia or around the world. Winning in India, to me, ticks every single box because you're achieving every single goal. So that's where I used to always put my performance at. And I know that a lot of Australians do also share that same feeling as well. If you win in India, you know that you've got a great Australian side.
All right, last couple of questions, gentlemen. Paji, to you. What do you make of the bench strength that the Indian cricket structure overall possesses right now? Because again, we were talking to Gary a short while back and he was talking about how he's here for a stint with the Rajasthan Cricket Academy and he's very impressed with the kind of youngsters coming through who are there in the pipeline. What do you make of the kind of talent that's there in the pipeline and of course on the bench as well?
I think when you have a great cricketers like Sachin, Rahul, Virender Sehwag, Dhoni, Laxman, Anil Kumble, and in a group they go out, it takes at least 10 to 15 years to rebuild the team. In such a short period, if you built a team which is just on the edge of becoming #1 test cricketing team, it shows the character of the players in India. We have the depth. That shows the talent, how much we have. Otherwise, it will take minimum 15 years to bounce back if one team dominated in the world cricket for so long. So I would say, yes, we never thought Ajinkya Rahane come out and do so well. We never thought Ashwin will come out and beat all the records. So you see the young cricketer and they done so well. I'm still want to see Rohit doing much better. Pujara is absolutely delight. I mean, somebody start comparing with Rahul Dravid itself is a big thing. One shouldn't compare. But I think when you compare with greats of the game, you say, well, the new bench is ready to take a challenge.
I guess the selectors are thinking the same way because they have retained Rohit Sharma in the test team. They of course want to give him a longer run, which is something that all of you will agree on, that he's great talent, so he's there in the team. All right, we've had a lot of heavy duty questions already. We'll quickly wrap this interview up with some fun stuff. Now this is NDTV style T20 interview. Okay, we call this a rapid fire.
Is it T20?
Yes, it's a T20. So it'll be
I
short
haven't
answers.
played
But we are
T20.
preparing,
Short answers.
but we are
haven't
preparing
played
for
T20.
test matches.
But which is why we wanted to bowl a quick googly too early.
Can we bowl with a pink ball?
Yes,
Okay.
of course. Why not? So the first thing that comes to your mind, gentlemen, the first answer that comes to your mind, we'll quickly wrap this up in like a minute and a half. Brett, to you first. The batsman in current modern day cricket that Brett Lee would be really nervous bowling to.
Virat Kohli.
Kapil Paji, the funniest cricketer that you have ever come across in international cricket.
I think Javed Miandad.
All right, BBS, one thing that Indian cricket has that no one else does.
Sense of humor.
All right, Brett. Brett. I guess Brett has something to say about that, but I don't think
He
you can
also
say that
agrees
in
to that.
this interview right here. All right, Brett. Legend has it that David Boone once chugged 52 cans of beer on a flight from Australia to England. Who in the current Australian team can win a beer chugging contest hands down?
Guys don't drink beer anymore. They're just drinking their Tanda Pani.
Thandapani, that's all. All right. Okay, Kapil Paji, if your team needed 25 runs to win in one last over of a T20 match and you had to pick a batsman who could smash that, who would you pick and why?
In my time,
Right now,
at this team,
at this team.
I think they are not one. There is a couple of cricketers. You can say Rohit is one, Virat Kohli suddenly is one. And I think Shekhar Dhawan, the way he played, he can do that damage too.
All right, Brett, one profession that Brett Lee would have been equally good in, if not cricket.
He's already showed that acting, man.
But he has so much to choose from. He wears so many hats, he has so much to choose from.
Maybe rather than answer the question, maybe I should just pick one thing and try and focus and do it properly.
All right, so but if you were a musician, you had
I'd like to be a rock star.
a rock star, so you wanted to jam with someone.
He
All right.
liked to be. He is a rock star according to us.
On the cricket field, of course, every Indian cricket fan will say he is, of course, a rock star. But Kapil Paji, best India versus Australia memory of yours?
I think tie test, that was very, very touching thing. 5 days, out of 5 days, 4 days Australia dominated, and last day we dominated from first ball to the last ball, and when the test went to a tie, we were feeling sad and Australia was happy.
Yeah. Brett, worst India versus Australia memory ever?
Anytime I get the bowl at Laxman or Sachin Tendulkar or Dravid or Sehwag, Ganguly, just to mention a few, they're always hard because I look up and I've got none for 200.
All right, we of course know that Laxman has been a fantastic cricketer and a fantastic batsman, but let's reverse the tables here. Here's a scenario. Okay, VVS Laxman is running up to bowl to Brett Lee, who's taking strike. What happens next?
I bowl a in-swinging Yorker.
You'd bounce me.
No, I know my limitations. I'll bowl a in-swinging Yorker and get him bowled.
All right, one final question. If Brett Lee had to say something in Hindi, one full sentence to these two gentlemen, what would that be?
Up Keso or Satrikalji.
No, he said it, Sat Sri Akal. That's the best word I ever heard.
All right,
Australian saying that.
absolutely. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure having you here on NDTV. Thank you so much for joining
Good
us.
job.